All right, here we go. Welcome to Divorced Dads of America, the Rebuild. Welcome back. I'm your host, Anthony Thompson, founder of Divorced Dads. I want to tell you about a dad I'm working with right now. We first started together. His business was barely producing. Money was tight. Fear was running over into everything. And we got to work, and now his business is so busy he can't keep up. More jobs he can handle, more revenue than he's ever seen. And you would think that that is the win. But here is what is actually happening. He's turning down jobs because he does not have the time. But he will not hire anyone to help because he's afraid if he says no to work, the money will stop. So he's drowning in this abundance in one area, but he's still operating out of scarcity in another area. He's still working out of fear, still refusing to pick up what I call the heavyweight. And I see this every single week with divorced dads who are rebuilding. The weight is right there on the bar. The life they want is right there in front of them, but they won't touch it. And today I want to tell you why and what it is actually going to take to get stronger. And guys, look, a quick pause here before we go further. We are 122 followers away from 1,000 here on Spotify. One click from you right now gets us one step closer. So hit follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and think of one specific dad. Not a group, one man. Text him this episode today. Just say, this one is for you. One click, one text. And I want us to get there together. There's more things I want to invest in this podcast with guests and other things to make this thing everything that you guys need in all phases, in all facets of divorce, pre, post, building. So why the weight stays on the bar? Why does it? Here's what happens in every gym when someone wants to get stronger. And man, I can remember this so many times for myself, getting on the bar, getting with somebody who's a little bit stronger than you, and then they throw that third plate on there. You know, so you got 305. And you're like, dude, I've never done 305. And you're kind of tripping. And the pause is not weakness. The pause is the moment, is the most important moment in this session, because what happens in that pause determines everything. Does he step up or does he step back? And that's what's happening with divorced dads. You're on the bench. You've got this weight. You want to get stronger. You stack the plate on, and now you're sitting there like, do I want to get stronger or do I not? It's not because they can't lift it, because they're afraid of what happens if they fail under it, right? And with nobody watching, nobody spotting, the fear of failing publicly under a weight they chose to pick up is enough to keep them standing there. Right? It's like those funny meme videos that you watch, and there's a dude there's a dude on the bench. He's stacked too much weight on there, and he puts it up. He's thinking he's a tough guy, and he can't get it up. And the thing comes down on his chest, and then he's got to roll look, I'm telling you because I've done it. Then he's got to roll the thing down his leg, popped all the weights off, and you feel like an absolute, failure in the gym. That same thing is happening with dads in their business and in their life and the things that they're doing. They got this bar up there and they're terrified that they're not going to be able to get the weight back up. And then they're going to look like a failure again. Dr. Carol Dweck at Stanford, whose growth mindset research has been replicated across thousands of studies, found that individuals who avoid challenging tasks do so primarily to protect their self-image from the evidence of failure. So it's not the failure they fear. It's what the failure means about them. And so a divorced dad who already feels like he failed his marriage and failed his kids, or failing in his mind or failing in money, he keeps the weight manageable. He stays in his comfort zone. He never gets stronger. Here's the truth about the weight. It's never as heavy as it looks from a distance. And you'll never know that until you step up and feel it. So I want to talk to you about fear versus a system. What's the difference? What's the difference between fear and a system? I want to name what is actually happening underneath the behavior I described, because it's not a time management problem. It's not a hiring problem. It's not even a business problem. It's a scarcity mindset operating inside an abundance reality. And that combination is one of the most dangerous places a divorced dad can be, because everything looks like it's working on the outside, but on the inside, he's still running this fear program. He was running when he had nothing. You know, it's like I had a conversation with my grandfather, who's almost 100. And I talked to him recently, and he was just talking about that he didn't know if he would have enough, to live on. And he doesn't do anything. He's not going anywhere. I mean, he has enough to live on. But because he grew up during the Great Depression, that imprint on his life has carried it through him to continually feel that way. So much so that when I even talk to my mom about it, a lot of times there's this feeling of not enough. And then I have gotten that same thing. Do I have enough? Am I going to run out? Am I going to look like a failure? Am I going to have to, go get food stamps? That is how the mindset works, and it goes generational. It's important to know that. It's important to know. Working out of fear looks like this. You say yes, for this guy, he says yes to every job because you're afraid the next one won't come. You refuse to hire because you're afraid the revenue will disappear. You cannot say no because no feels like the beginning of the end. And so you grind, you exhaust yourself. You got no margin for your kids, your health, your spiritual life, your relationships. And then you call it success because you got the money, but you're really living out of this fear. But working out of a system is different. You know your numbers, you know your capacity, you know what a yes costs you, what a no protects. You hire because you trust the revenue will grow to support the hire. You build the infrastructure before you need it. And so there's some research done at Harvard on entrepreneurial decision-making. It found that founders who operate from scarcity frameworks, making decisions based on fear of loss rather than opportunity for gain, consistently underperform compared to founders who operate from abundance frameworks. Harvard here, guys. And we know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. You know this. The difference is that when I sit with guys like that, and they're across from me or talking, and you get challenged on these things, and you start to reveal them, you start to show them, then you start to ask yourself, am I operating out of fear? Am I operating out of faith? Do I know my numbers? And then being able to work from there. The fear program served you when you had nothing. It kept you moving. It kept you hungry. But if you don't upgrade the program when the reality changes, the old code runs your new life, and it'll cost you everything the abundance was supposed to build. That's the problem. So I want to give you a framework today that is going to help you just kind of put something very simple that you can take away today, something to look at. And as thoughts come through, as ideas are happening, and I believe most of us know that the thing with operating out of fear is that it's an intelligent lie. It's super rational. Oh, I don't have the money for this right now. I don't know if this is going to work out. And look, I've said this to myself 1,000 times. And I finally, in many cases, had to stop telling myself that and started to work from the man that I was becoming, the man that was already in there, the man that was traveling and speaking and writing and doing all these things. Got to work from there. But if you don't know the underlying person that you want to become, it's very difficult. So I want to walk you through a spotter system because we're talking about the bar, right? We're talking about the bench. Here's what I do with coaching clients who they're standing at the bar, not touching the weight. I don't tell them to just pick it up. That's not how strength is built. Here's what it looks like. Step one, load the bar with the real number. So I'll ask them, I'll say, all right, what do you really want to put in the business? What do you need the business to be monthly? What's the number? Specifically, not generally, I want my business to be better or I want to get a couple more clients. No, we want very specific numbers because we want very specific outcomes. We need to give your mind something to hold on to. So that's what we'll do. Say, hey, what's the number that we need to hit here? Or for example, if it's with your children, what does the best day look like for you with your time? What do you want that to look like? What does presence look like for you with your children? Okay. What does your calendar look like? What does it need to look like? So we first get it to where you need it to be. What does that look like? What does that feel like? We write it down. So you can put the actual weight on the bar so you can see it. Most dads never do this step. They want to get stronger, but they never define what stronger actually is. You can't lift a weight that you refuse to look at. And I remember, first time I was stacking 305 on the bench, and I looked at it. And I can remember what that was like. Oh, okay. Like this ain't 2 plates no more. This 3 plates. Here's number 2. You got to feel the weight before you commit to the lift. This is where your spotter comes in. This is where myself with a coach, we will bring things down to a level of feeling the weight so you don't get crushed by the weight. Having a spotter there while you do it. So in coaching, we test the weight together. We run the numbers. We build a plan. We look at what these hires actually cost versus what it produces. We look at what a no to a job protects you. We look at the cost of your time. We look at the cost of what it does to your children. What is the cost here? This is what a spotter is doing. He does not lift it for you. He makes sure you don't get crushed while you're figuring out if you can carry it. And again, going back to the bar, I remember being on the bench. I remember being with a guy that was 20 years older than me. And he got behind the bar. And I said, dude, I can't lift this. He goes, bro, you don't have to lift it. We just want to feel it. He goes, when you feel it, your muscles are going to get a shock. They're going to start to feel what it's like to push this weight. And you'll never push this weight once you start to feel it. I'm going to be here right. He's like, I'm going to be here right with you. You're going to feel it. I'm going to get this thing going for you. And then the next time we're going to feel it a little bit more. That's exactly what happened. Took the weight off. I was like, dear God, like I felt it, but I didn't drop it. I didn't get crushed by it. I felt the weight. That's what a good spotter is doing. Number 3 is we make the move in fear. The client's now building toward 3X. He didn't wait until he felt ready. He just made the move when he was scared. He took on the hire, scared. He said no to the job, scared. But every time he did it, the weight got lighter. Not because circumstances changed. He began to work from abundance instead of this scarcity. That's how muscle is built. It's not by waiting until the weight feels comfortable. It's by picking it up before it does. And Albert Bandura at Stanford did a self-efficacy in psychology, found that the single most powerful driver of belief in one's own capability is mastery experience, successfully completing a challenging task. It's not affirmations. It's not visualizations. It's doing the hard thing and surviving it. Every time the client picks up a heavy weight and they don't get crushed, his belief begins to carry him. And that's the science behind what we're doing. In Philippians 4:13, great verse says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's not a bumper sticker verse. It's a weight room promise, right? Faith is what you're building toward. You've got to build the muscle. You've got to do hard things. You've got to wake up early. You've got to start putting your mindset and protecting it into what you want. And most of you don't know what you want. So you got to start there. What do you want? What do you want with your money? What do you want with your time? What do you want with your kids? What do you want with your mindset, your feeling? What do you want co-parenting to be like, man? Here's the last part. When you see it, you can build it. Most of the divorced dads, the guys I'm talking to, they miss this heavy weight. They don't want to pick it up because they can't see the other side of it. They can't picture themselves carrying it. And if you can't picture it, you can't build towards it. So this guy I was talking about that was bound with this limiting beliefs, he couldn't hire even when he could see the path to 3X. His breakthrough was not a system change. It was this vision shift. It was something that he couldn't see before. He needed to see the revenue. He needed to see the calendar. He needed to see what his kids would have access to. The fear doesn't disappear, but it gets smaller because now you know it. Now you believe that it's possible. Right now, you believe it's possible. And neuroscientist Tali Sharot in London, College of London, found that the brain's ability to vividly simulate a future positive outcome directly reduces fear-based decision avoidance. When the vision is abstract, listen to this, guys, carefully. I want to make more money. The fear runs the show. When the vision is specific and vivid, I see myself with a team of 3 doing 3X by March. The brain engages and the amygdala quiets. Specificity is the antidote to fear. See it specifically and you can build toward. So in Matthew, in the scriptures, another great verse, it says, according to your faith, let it be done to you. Let it be done to you. What I love about these verses is that Christians minimize them so much. But people that aren't in the church, they'll read those and be like, holy cow, that's exactly what we've been talking about visualization and seeing things before they happen. And now the data and the science is showing you that, yes, when you do that, according to your faith, let it be done to you. According to this vision that you have in your heart for yourself and for your kids and for your emotions and for your co-parenting and for how you want to feel, let it be done. Why would you not want that? Well, I can tell you why. The enemy doesn't want you to have that. The enemy doesn't want you to be successful. The enemy wants you to be crawling and scraping and hurting and in pain and miserable. Why? Because he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's what he does. Let me give you the last bit here, and we'll roll out. Here's the difference between a builder and a drifter when the heavy weight's loaded. A drifter looks at the bar and finds a reason not to touch it. He's too busy. He's not ready. The timing is not right. He'll do it when things calm down. Gosh, I hear that so often. And the weight still sits there, and he stays exactly as strong as he is right now. In fact, you actually lose strength. If you don't build it, you lose it. It's a law of atrophy. If you don't use it, you lose it. And so he stays where he's at, which means he stays exactly as capable as he is right now, which means he stays exactly as available to his kids right now. But a builder steps up, not because he's not afraid. He is. Not because the weight doesn't look heavy. Shoot, it is. It does. But he feels the weight first. He gets spotted. He makes the move in fear. And every single time he picks it up and does not get crushed, he gets stronger. He rebuilds. He gets more capable. He builds more margin. He shows his kids what a man looks like when he refuses to stay small. The weight is on the bar, dude. Step up and let's build this thing out. If this hits you, I want you to do one thing today. Write down your 2X number. Not eventually, today. What does 2X of your current revenue look like? Write it down. Put the weight on the bar so you can see it. If you're ready to get spotted, the coaching link and communities in the show. Again, we're 122 followers away from 1,000 on Spotify to help raise the bar, help raise the reach. Hit follow right now. Text this to one dad who's standing at the bar, not touching the weight. I love you, dude. God bless you. I'll see you in the next one, man.